Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're wrapping up Series 5, and we'll be switching to Series 6 in just a couple of days, so I want to just try a couple of more Series 5 teams before we start the brand new format, and I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys are as well. First of all, apologies, I missed out on an upload yesterday, which is I think the first time in almost 2 months or so. I appreciate everyone. Let's continue to come out and watch the daily uploads. I wanted to just take some time off and disconnect for a little bit, but I am back now and ready to just dive right into Series 6 in a couple of days. Today's team, it was built by a player called Darius. I've linked his Twitter in the description below. This team actually just popped up on my Twitter feed, and I thought it was really cool because it features Tentacruel, which we haven't really used on this channel at all. Tentacruel was actually, the first time I've seen it was on that mono water type team that a great Spanish player called Mythos used to win that big grassroots tournament. We actually played against it, I think, in Road to Ranked either in the last episode or 2 episodes ago, if I remember correctly. But that was the first time I even recognized that Tentacruel could potentially be an option. So yeah, like Mythos definitely was the first prominent player that I've seen use it to a really, really good effect. And so this was built by a player, like I mentioned, called Darius, who I think is relatively new to VGC, but was able to get top 16 in a grassroots tournament recently online with this team. And it's really cool. It features Choice Scarf Urshifu, which is not very commonly seen in terms of an item. Braviary, which I think is a Pokemon that a lot of people started using in the last couple of weeks, really to counter all the Intimidate spam out there. Braviary was, very, very good in the beginning of VGC 2020, or at least a lot of people were using it. Then kind of fell out of popularity, but I think more people are returning to it, especially going to Series 6. It will be a pretty viable Tailwind user. Overall, as you can see, the team is quite bulky. You've got this, Arcanine, Porygon 2, Rillaboom core as well. And at the end of the day, yeah, it has the classic Fire, Water, Grass core with Arcanine, Tentacruel, and Rillaboom. So main setup, I think, is to really just get the Bulldoze off, get the weakness policy going on Tentacruel, and then sweep from there. Tentacruel is also really interesting because I think it'll probably be a little bit worse going into Series 6. This Pokemon is really good against a lot of the top picks right now, including Togekiss, Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Incineroar, for example. And as you know, all of those Pokemon are going to be banned out going into the next format. So wanted to feature it while it's probably still in its prime. So let's just give it a try. As always, if you guys enjoy Road to Ranked, please share your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day kind of relates to all these different, rotating formats that we've had. We saw a little bit of this actually in 2019 where in tournaments, as the year went on, more Pokemon and more things were allowed. And this year was pretty interesting because obviously we had the DLC come into play. We also had the, Pokemon getting like their hidden abilities throughout the course of the format. We had Gigantamax releases every now and then as well. Or I guess I should say Gigantamax Pokemon being allowed. So I'm really curious how everyone felt about like the idea of rotating formats in VGC and even just in online play. Series 6 obviously I don't know if we'll have any official tournaments under, but I think it does spice up the online format a little bit, whereas in previous years we'd pretty much be playing the exact same format for 10 plus months. So I want to know everyone's opinion. For me personally, I enjoy it, and as a content creator I think it's especially exciting because you get to kind of change things up a little bit, but curious on everyone's thoughts. Either way, let's get into the first game of today's episode. It's pretty standard for the most part, but the Gigalith is what really stands out to me here. Especially because at first I was going to say there doesn't look like there's Trick Room here, but Comfey could actually set up Trick Room. Comfey could also just self-proc weakness policy on Dragapult, so I think I really have to watch out for that. How good is Tentacruel here? That's my first question. I mean, I've got Max Ice, but I think like Comfey Dragapult's decently likely for my opponent right now as a lead, which wouldn't be great. That would not be great. What I could do is go like Porygon Urshifu, just get like an Ice Punch off, set up Trick Room. I think we definitely need Arcanine in this, and then Tentacruel is the last one is what I'm thinking. Rillaboom would be a pretty solid bring as well, but it would activate the grassy terrain to allow my opponent's Comfey to heal more with floral healing, so I'm a little bit more hesitant for that reason. Pretty cool to see a Gigalith, though. Obviously we have that on our WBE team, and going into Series 6 with Tyranitar being banned out, it actually ends up being a more interesting option for weather, just because there aren't that many weather users to even use anymore. Plus, I think Gigalith is still really strong, especially with these like weakness policy sets. So like, there's a decent chance this Comfey can activate. The first question I have is where's the weakness policy? Because it's definitely going to be on Dragapult or Gigalith, but obviously you can't have it on both. So I want to figure out where it is there. And then, yeah, go from there. Either way, though, cool team from my opponent's end. Really bulky for the most part. Dragapult looks like it's going to be the main damage dealer, but you got to respect things like Rotom and Gigalith as well. Okay, so it is going to be Comfey and Dragapult, which, yeah, I don't think anyone's really too surprised by, which actually I think works out okay for us here because I can just go for the Ice Punch turn 1 with the Choice Scarf. I actually wonder if I maybe want to knock out the Comfey instead. Because I have Ice Beam as well, right? So, like, what I could do turn 1... actually, Trick Room Ice Punch doesn't really make much sense, right? Because if I get that off... you can just heal back all the damage that I deal to the Dragapult. So when you're up against Comfey, it's actually normally better to just KO the Comfey. Yeah, so I think I'm going to Trick Room and Surging Strikes here. I don't know if Surging Strikes KOs Comfey, especially if it has a recovery item. I think there's a decent chance to survive since these Pokemon... I mean, Comfeys are pretty bulky. So no surprise to see the Dynamax turn 1. One of the other teams I wanted to try out before Series 6 started was another Comfey team featuring Comfey Dracovish. I think we'll probably feature that tomorrow or the day after. And I think you should expect to see Comfey a lot more in Series 6. I mean, it's a really good Pokemon to begin with. Plus, yeah, there's just more weakness policy shenanigans you can go with, especially with Lapras. Oh, he actually opts for Draining Kiss on the Urshifu. Okay. Interesting. So, the idea behind that play is just to break my Focus Sash immediately, which makes a lot of sense. And so it's probably going to be a double up into that slot. Unfortunately, I think we're just going to miss out on the knockout on Surging Strikes. Yeah, it actually wasn't super close. I don't know. That did, like, what, 85%? Yeah, and Phantasm comes out. Okay. So the problem now is that I have a defense drop. I do get a free switch in, but my opponent is still going to get the Draining Kiss off onto the Dragapult, which is pretty scary. So, like, what do I want to do here? Because I can't get the weakness policy act. Oh, actually, I can. Wait, hold up. I could Thunderbolt into the Tentacruel and then Max Ice into Dragapult. I just don't know if that's a KO. But I actually think that's our best play here. Because I think my opponent's play here is to just max. I mean, alternatively, if I think my opponent's targeting Porygon, I could max Ooze here and Ice Beam into the Dragapult. But this would be huge if we get it off. So, yeah, I'm going to self-activate the policy here. I'm just double-checking to make sure Porygon goes first, but it should. Yep. That was fast Tentacruel, actually. Yeah, so I'm going to Thunderbolt, Max, and Hailstorm. I just don't know if +2 Hailstorm KOs Dragapult. I would think so, but... Comfey actually switches out, so maybe into... Oh, it's actually Ferrothorn, which I don't mind, because I've got Arcanine in the back, so that's going to be a really good counter to it. Which means, regardless, we should survive this turn. The Ferrothorn switching makes a lot of sense, too, right? You're trying to take the Max Ooze here. So, I couldn't really justify leading Arcanine Tentacruel against my opponent's team. Because you can just turn 1, go for a Draining Kiss, and then just knock out the Arcanine. Like, I have to lead something to beat Comfey Dragapult. Okay, we do a lot of damage to ourselves there, because we get a crit. But I still think this was the correct play. That's obviously one downside to going for a self-target. And I'm assuming this is more than, like, Ice Beam, Hailstorm into the Dragapult. Oh, and it hangs on. Oh, that was so close. I think if we picked up a knockout there, we'd be golden. But I just activated the policy as well. Oh, you hate to see it. I guess that shouldn't be super surprising. It is going to be a Phantasm. So, yeah, it's going to go into Tentacruel. It should be a knockout. Ah, so close. So close. I think if we pick up the knockout there, we're actually in great shape. Because, like, my opponent is Comfey, which is pretty weak. I'm at +2. Now, Ferrothorn's obviously going to be a problem. But basically, I attack around the Ferrothorn because I have Arcanine in the back. But now this game is pretty dang difficult. However, this is... it's not over yet because I can obviously safely Ice Beam into Dragapult for a KO. Comfey is not really much of an offensive threat in the back, so it comes down to what my opponent's last one is. But yeah, the good thing here is that we do have Flamethrower on the Arcanine. So we're super close to knocking out Dragapult there. I don't regret that play. The only thing I could have really done there differently was, I don't know, maybe max, like max guard. Or I could max Ooze and not go for the self. Yeah, maybe we could have Ooze there instead, but I don't know. I'm just going to Ice Beam and Flamethrower here, I think. We can still win this, especially because my opponent might get greedy and think, like, oh, I'm just going to go for Iron Defense. But they're actually just going to opt for Body Press immediately, which I don't mind. Although that does so much damage where... if I don't think Ice Beam... Flamethrower KOs here, to be honest. If it does KO, we're still in it. But the problem is that we've taken these defense drops, right? So that I'm just taking so much damage from Ferrothorn's body presses. Good decision to go for the body press there as well. Hopefully a Flamethrower can pick up the one-hit KO. Okay, it does. You know, for some reason, I was like, Ferrothorns are just so bulky nowadays that I was just expecting it to survive because I don't think Arcanine's super invested. But in retrospect, that's kind of a silly assumption because, like, I mean, Ferrothorns are pretty much always max HP, max defense in positions like that. So let's see what my opponent's last one is. If it's something like Rotom, maybe we could clutch it out. Comfey is obviously just a little bit... Yeah, it is Rotom. Okay. This is doable then. Because, like, I think... unless it's Nasty Plot Rotom, which totally could be the case. I mean, I think we have to recover here. And just go for the KO onto the Comfey. We'll see if it's Nasty Plot Rotom. Yeah, he's going to Draining Kiss. I don't think that KOs, right? Okay, nice. Not even close. So we get a huge recover off. And if it's not Nasty... how could you not run Nasty Plot Rotom in this format, though? It's got to be Nasty Plot Tom, right? Okay, just asked for Hydro, though. Targeting Arcanine. Can we survive? Let's see. Ooh, the 3 HP survival. Clutch. Okay, okay. So now it's a 1v1. Now it's a 1v1. Or sorry, 2v1. Wow, the fact we're in this is clutch, honestly. So... Great bulk from the Arcanine to survive the Hydro there. I thought we'd survive. It actually, like, the Rotom actually honestly did more than I expected it to. Okay. I don't have Protect, which is the problem on Arcanine. Unfortunately. If I had it, I'd definitely go for it, because then we could just snarl away. So the question here is whether I want to, like, Helping Hand Thunderbolt. Recover is safer, but I do think getting a lot of damage with, like, Helping Hand Thunderbolt outright is pretty valuable here. Because the Hydro shouldn't knock out Porygon 2 next turn. It does put us at risk of a crit, though. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. I just really want damage, though. I'm going to go for Helping Hand Thunderbolt, I think. Yeah, the risk here... Wait, what? They forfeited. That was Why did you forfeit there? I guess my opponent probably wasn't Nasty Plot Tom then, and they were like, there's no way I win the 1v1 against Porygon. I think I got a little greedy there. I should recover as the safer play. I was just like trying to accelerate the battle a little bit, but I don't think my opponent needed a forfeit there. I mean, if they forfeited, that was basically them saying, I don't have a way to knock out your Porygon in the late game. But you shouldn't give up, because you could always like get paralysis on Porygon as well. So I should have recovered there just to play it safe, because one way we could have lost is my opponent just KOing Arcanine and then crit Hydro into Porygon. I don't even know if that's a KO, to be honest, but with hail damage, it's just better to just play it safer there. So I think I got a little too greedy and just tried to end the game faster. But yeah, we end up eking it out with the win, and I think this game highlights a lot of strong things, like Flamethrower on Arcanine, really, really valuable to be able to just get these one-hit KOs against Ferrothorns, especially because so many players are opting for these Iron Defense Body Press Ferrothorns. So if you're looking for a way to counter that, you should definitely consider Flamethrower Arcanine, especially because like I think earlier I was thinking maybe Ferrothorn survives because I'm used to like the Heat Wave calcs, or I think Ferrothorn could maybe survive with the spread damage, but with Flamethrower, yeah, just being able to pick up a one-hit KO is super, super clutch. So surprised not to see my opponent switch out the Dragapult or the Ferrothorn or Protect on that turn, but do think that game ended a little prematurely, but we'll take it, I guess. Huh. Part of me wants to just go Arcanine Tentacruel here, honestly. Arcanine Tentacruel doesn't seem that bad. Because, like, my opponent doesn't have anything that actually outspeeds Arcanine, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to Bulldoze before getting hit, which is nice. What do I want in the back? Rillaboom seems pretty valuable here, especially because of its ability to hit Primarina and Tyranitar. Braviary is an interesting brain because it counters Amoonguss really hard. I think it should be P2 here, though, to play it safe. Because my opponent also doesn't have great damage output against Porygon in the late game. If you don't get much mileage out of your max turns, Porygon 2 can really just clean up. Like, you can win the 1v1, I think, against, like, Primarina, Amoonguss, because I can heal back, and I have the Bolt Beam coverage. So, yeah. Alright, that last game did not play how I expected to. I do think if we just knock out Dragapult early game there, like that turn I went for the Thunderbolt, like we would have been golden. But fortunately we didn't get it. That being said, all things considered, it's still okay. It's actually Tyranitar Amoonguss. Okay. This is interesting because, like, I don't necessarily need to max. And I do have to worry a little bit about bulldozing because it would activate a policy on the Tyranitar. However, what are the odds my opponent just stays in here with the Amoonguss, right? We have a lot of options here. Like, the play I want to make the most is Flamethrower or Ice Beam just to KO Amoonguss turn 1. We could maybe... It's just like, do we not max Tentacruel? I feel like we really should max it. Okay, I'm actually going to max turn 1. I'm going to Flamethrower, max, and Hailstorm. This might seem a little silly, but the logic behind this is even if Amoonguss protects, like, it's fine. Plus, I really don't think I want to be maxing Arcanine, Rillaboom, or... I mean, Arcanine and Porygon, we definitely don't want to max. Rillaboom, maybe. But by going for this Hailstorm, if T-Tar doesn't max turn 1, I also get the weather control in my favor. We chip away a little bit at... Like, and if we knock out Amoonguss turn 1, this is such a good turn for us. But it protects, yeah. It was such an obvious protect, but it's like... I don't know. I can't feel really good about Bulldoze and Geyser into Tyranitar here. It's still fine, though. Like, getting the Intimidate off against Tyranitar is really good. I think I do have to respect the Amoonguss a little bit here. It makes me wonder what I want to go for this next turn, though. Good decision not to max on my opponent's end, I think. Ah, Lash Out. Okay. Yeah. So Bulldoze Geyser would have been like a game-winning play turn 1 there, but I didn't feel like I could really risk it. Nice play turn 1. I wonder if Flamethrower plus Max Ooze KOs Amoonguss. Because that covers any switch out options. Yeah, I'm just going to go for that, I think. It does switch. Kind of frustrating, because like I've been playing super safe here. I mean, Primarina comes in, so I do get a Ooze off against it. See if Tyranitar protects. That'd be great. It doesn't protect either. Okay. A Tentacruel would have been, like, could have been really, really good in this game for us, honestly. At least we get an Ooze off here, which is really nice. That's actually almost a one-hit KO. Wow. That means Primarina is definitely in Flamethrower KO range now. But this Tyranitar is still a threat. Definitely still a threat. Yeah, I'm just going to go for another Lash Out. But now we survive. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, we actually... Getting the special attack boost on the Arcanine is kind of nice. Because, like, Flamethrower is going to hurt. So here, it's like... there's no way you let me just get a +1 Max Geyser off against Tyranitar, right? Since we have Muddy Water, like, what I want to go for here is Flamethrower and Ooze. We get Arcanine to +2 special attack as well. I just think, like, there's no way you give up Tyranitar here. If anything, I think you protect so that I activate a potential weakness policy. So I'm going to Flamethrower and Ooze here. I also don't want to activate a potential policy on Tyranitar. Yep, there's the protect. Perfect. Because now I'm at +2 special attack. I'm faster. And I can Helping Hand Muddy Water the subsequent turn. And there's no sand. Okay, nice. And getting to Arcanine to +2 special attack is actually really valuable, right? Because, like, now, I think we might just one-shot the Amoonguss with Flamethrower. Depends on how it's trained. Can't say for sure. But yeah, now what I can do this next turn is Helping Hand Muddy Water if Amoonguss comes back out. If my opponent's not expecting Muddy Water, which would be huge. Amoonguss is not going to be a problem in the late game. Right now, it's still kind of scary, though. Like, we have a fair amount of damage against it, but still kind of a threat. Either way, though, we've chipped away 25+% of Tyranitar, which is also pretty nice. But I feel like I could have had more control over this game if I made, like, more aggressive predictions. That being said, I didn't feel like I was in a position to really need to go for these predictions. And Amoonguss comes back out. That's what I want to see. I mean, I want a Helping Hand Muddy Water here. +2 special attack. I guess the problem is if we don't KO. I think we'd KO, though. I'd be shocked if it didn't. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. My only fear here is missing. My only fear here is missing. Yeah, they don't even max Tyranitar. Okay, that's interesting. I'd love to see an Amoonguss protect here. Okay, just Rage Powders. That's also fine. Actually, that basically accomplishes the same thing. If we don't miss this Muddy Water, we're in such a good spot. And it connects. Nice. Let's go, Tentacruel. Assuming it's enough for a knockout. Oh. Oh, this is Tentacruel, baby. And we get the accuracy drop on Amoonguss. That's even better for us. Like, them going for Rage Powder over Protect is better. So, yeah, I'm really glad I ended up max oozing into the Primarina switching, because Primarina could have... Actually, no, I don't think it would have been that much of a max problem, because we had Rillaboom and Porygon, but Tentacruel is out to take some victims today. And it looks like it's Togekiss as the last one. Okay. Okay. With Togekiss being the last one, us being a +2 special attack, I actually think it's fine to just Flamethrower into Amoonguss here and Sludge Bomb into the Togekiss. Tentacruel's pretty fast, by the way, too. So, given, like, Porygon's always going to win the 1v1 against, I shouldn't say always, because, like, you could be Yon Crit Kiss and, like, put me to sleep infinitely and just keep getting crits. But this is why I wanted to bring Porygon. Like, it is really difficult to knock out Porygon in this format. So we get one last hoorah with it before, you know, it leaves us. But let's see. Okay. It's just a Rage Powder coming out, which is even better for us. Like, I think Arcanine's Flamethrower here should just be a knockout. So you can see the value of Special Arcanine, by the way. So many players, you know, like Flare Blitz, which makes a lot of sense. It does so much damage, but I wasn't even expecting to use Tentacruel to boost up Arcanine, but it ended up being even more helpful than I thought. Yeah, we get the Sludge Bomb off, and it does 60%. Not enough for a KO, but you know what we say to those? I say we take those. So you get the Airstream off, but now I can just bring out Porygon, and I can just click Trick Room. Trick Room Flamethrower works, and then just Helping Hand Thunderbolt. So this was just Tentacruel Arcanine putting on so much pressure from the start. My opponent made some great plays with Amoonguss, I thought. Like, great decision to go for that Protect turn 1. The switch out made a lot of sense, but it actually worked out better for us because, like, Amoonguss was never that scary given what we brought in this game. Okay, so now it's 3v1. Togekiss is getting these speed boosts, so I'm assuming Arcanine's slower now. I don't want to switch out, though. So, because I think, like, Porygon alone should win this at this point, so I'm just going to Flamethrower Trick Room. Yeah, and they're just going to forfeit. I don't think my opponent really had any shot at winning that, because at best you can KO my Arcanine. Like, +2 Flamethrower probably doesn't KO you, but +2 Flamethrower plus an Ice Beam or Thunderbolt should KO the Togekiss. So what I was thinking in that position is, even a crit attack onto Porygon is definitely not going to knock us out, so you pretty much have to try to hope you're faster than Arcanine, crit it for a knockout, but then Porygon just wins. So that's why I wanted to bring Porygon in the first place. It was really, really good, like, late-game insurance against my opponent's entire team. But that last one was such a good demonstration of Tentacruel more than anything. And I think what we were able to do effectively in that game was basically put on the pressure so that my opponent couldn't Dynamax early on. They could have maybe considered maxing Tyranitar, but anytime you Dynamax turn 1 once you're already intimidated, it is not really that great, right? You're kind of at a disadvantage. But we also had, like, the potential to just, like, kind of win turn 1. If I just go for the Bulldoze Geyser play into Tyranitar, like, you know, that just, like, completely wrecks my opponent. But obviously, they could just go for a safe follow me to get around that. Is this the, okay, because I remember we, like, in the, not Series 5, but Ranked Season 5, there was a Gothitelle team that was able to get number 1 that we used on Road to Ranked, and it had a lot of these Pokemon. No, but there was no Cinderace on that, right? So, this is interesting. After using competitive Gothitelle, I'm like, do I have to respect it here? I might have to, but honestly, Tentacruel looks great here again. Like, I kind of want to just go Arcanine Tentacruel again. Scarf Urshifu is a really interesting option because my opponent's probably going to be Scarf with Dracovish or Vanilluxe, but obviously Urshifu can outspeed that. However, I have to respect the Tailwind from the Whimsicott, I think. So I could just go Arcanine, Tentacruel, P2, Rillaboom. This gives me, like, a slightly slower mode. However, I do fear that I don't have enough damage against the Cinderace if I go with this combination. Rillaboom does have pretty nice damage output here, though. I don't know, like, we've got Knockoff for the Gothitelle. Glide into a lot of things is pretty valuable. I think I definitely will bring Porygon. It's just whether I want Urshifu or Rillaboom. Urshifu or Rillaboom? I'm gonna go with Urshifu, actually. That might be a... okay. It probably would have been safer to bring Rillaboom because my opponent has their own Rillaboom, and obviously us being Scarf doesn't matter in terms of their priority glides. But I think one thing that we do have here is the element of surprise with Choice Scarf for Urshifu. I mean, when you play against Urshifu in this format, you basically expect Focus Sash almost all the time. Maybe Life Orb, but very few people expect the Scarf. Gothitelle Cinderace, okay. This is bad if it's competitive, Gothitelle. Like, and given that my opponent led this, I actually think there's a decent chance it's competitive. Oh no, maybe I walked into this trap. Oh, it's not. Thank goodness. Okay. Okay. You know what I honestly want to do turn 1 is just Bulldoze Protect, because then the subsequent turn I'll outspeed. So then I can Bulldoze again and then get the policy off with Tentacruel. I could also just see the Gothitelle Trick Rooming here, but then what do you go into? Helping Hand Geyser. I don't know. I honestly want to just Bulldoze and Protect turn 1. Because then it means I can, yeah, Bulldoze Geyser turn 2 against Cinderace. Cinderace maxes too, which honestly I'm pretty happy to see here. I also want to protect Tentacruel from a potential Psychic type attack from the Gothitelle. Oh, unless they Airstream. I should have thought about that. Yeah, it totally, because if they Airstream here, it just negates what I'm going for. Airstream honestly makes the most sense as well. Otherwise, I could see maybe Max Darkness to get the Spadef drop. Oh, they were Clear Bodies, so you actually wouldn't get a drop here. Oh, they actually went for Fake Out. Okay, that also makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even consider that, but I totally should have. Oh my god, it's Max Lightning. Ooh, that's not good. I have not seen a Max Lightning Cinderace ever. It makes sense to deal with bulky waters, but... oh, man. I actually could have just maxed Tentacruel and Geyser there and would have dunked on the Cinderace. Can we survive? How much damage do we take there? 41? So it would have basically gotten the one-hit KO onto us. Now there's Terrain up. There's also the potential Helping Hand, right? Oh my god. I honestly think... Max Lightning. Did not expect to see that. Well, I'm going to Bulldoze again. Because I think we might max Urshifu. And I'm actually going to Protect. I can't max Tentacruel given that there's very likely Helping Hand on the Gothitelle. Yeah, we don't get it. Unfortunately. No Helping Hand. I thought this was such a good lead for Tentacruel. But given that we're trapped, and my opponent had the tech with Max Lightning, it wasn't very good. At least I can bring Urshifu out now. Like, the upside is that we haven't maxed yet, right? Honestly, P2 maxing seems crazy, but it could work. And it's just expanding for us, that's fine. It's actually a pretty good amount of damage. I don't know. Because, like, you can just Expanding Force into Urshifu. If I max this and I Knuckle, it actually doesn't really accomplish very much either. So, honestly, I might go into Porygon instead. Mainly because my opponent's Electric type right now, so I can't really pick up I guess I could Flamethrower CC into that slot. Oh, this sucks. I'm gonna go into Urshifu. Never mind. Yeah, and I think... I'm not gonna Close Combat. I think I'm gonna Flamethrower here. And just go for a Rapid Flow instead. And hopefully that's a knockout. I think this is my only possible play, to be honest. Oh, Max Lightning Cinderace. Man, the one day we try to feature Tentacruel, we get dunked on by that. Cool tech, though, and it makes a lot of sense. I think it's a great call in this format. Which is funny, because bulky waters are going to be even better going into Series 6. But, like, what Max Lightning helps you cover against is more damage output against, like, Primarina, Lapras. And once again, more importantly, it's basically the idea that you set up... It's also terrain control, right? Most Cinderaces don't have great terrain control, if any. Because you're going to want Fire, Fighting, Steel, Dark... You know, combination of that, maybe Normal. So with Max Lightning, you can actually have a better matchup for terrain control. So this is like a unique scenario where I'm maxing Urshifu just because there's no better option. Okay, this should be a KO. I maxed here mainly because Urshifu takes too much damage otherwise, but maxing Porygon actually could have been a possibility in this match. She seems kind of crazy. Okay. Okay, it's expanding force. Yeah, I mean, we would have survived there. Like, I could have just gone for Surging Strikes, Flamethrower. I don't know. Maybe maxing Porygon actually was the call in this game. We'll see what my opponent has in the back. The good thing is that 2 Expanding Forces don't even pick up the knockout, but I'm worried about Dracovish switching in, because then you can just Vicious Rend into the Arcanine for a free knockout. So then I'm wondering if Helping Hand plus G-Max Urshifu can one-shot the Gothitelle. And it looks like it's Urshifu. Or sorry, Dracovish, yeah. That's not what we want to see. At least I can Helping Hand before bowing out, so I'm definitely going to want to do that. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Helping Hand Rapid Flow here, just into the Gothitelle. Yeah, let's go for that. Unless Helping Hand Knuckles, okay. If we were like Dark Urshifu, I would have targeted Dracovish here, but I can't knock it out here. Oh, it's not Scarf Dracovish. Wow, okay. Well, we crit the Gothitelle, which might have mattered there. Depends on whether it's like defensively or specially defensively invested. Vicious Rend still KOs us here, though, right? Yeah. Okay, but we're faster than Dracovish with our boy here. However, if Rillaboom just comes out, we lose anyway, I think. Because then you can just glide into Urshifu. Although maybe Urshifu survives. That's Rillaboom. Okay. Gets rid of Terrain too, so I can't Max Lightning for as much. I don't know. I could have... Given that the Dracovish was actually slower, Helping Hand Knuckle, and then Trick Room goes up, and then maybe Porygon 2 can pull something off. We do get a special attack boost here. Maybe I can survive a Glide. Maybe. It's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. What do you do here for my opponent? Do you... Glide into... Do you fake out Porygon or Glide? And does that decision actually matter either way? So what I want to do is T-Bolt. T-Bolt and I think Hailstorm. Or Knuckle. Hailstorm does give us that little bit of residual though. Okay, he just glides. I mean, if this one hit KOs, we lose. Okay, yeah, it's over. It was close. It was close. My opponent brought the perfect 4 Pokemon. I think if they had anything but the Urshifu, maybe we had a chance. Or sorry, the Rillaboom, we had a chance. I was expecting Scarf Dracovish this whole time, too. It didn't end up being Scarfed. It's good damage from T-Bolt. Yeah, maybe Porygon was the right Pokemon to max. Like, we could have just brought out Porygon, maxed it immediately. Because the problem with maxing Urshifu is that we're super Rilla weak. So what I could have done... So I was thinking my opponent maybe didn't have Rillaboom because they didn't bring it out first when I had Urshifu, but they went for the correct play, which was just to chip away at us. It's a really interesting game. I do think we brought the right 4 Pokemon, to be honest. I don't... Okay, now, if in a best of 3, like, I'm like, oh, my opponent has Max Lightning on Cinderace, I would definitely not lead Arcanine Tentacruel. Unfortunately, that was, like, the best counter possible. So, in a best of 3, I'd probably lead something like Urshifu Arcanine, just because the Urshifu at least puts on offensive pressure, and I'm Scarf, so I can outspeed Cinderace. Like, turn 1 could... Actually, yeah. If I let the Urshifu, what I could have done in this game was go for Helping Hand, Surging Strikes, turn 1 into Cinderace. If you're not expecting the Choice Scarf, I guess you could fake out that into the Urshifu. Yeah, maybe. So, cool Max Lightning tech. I do think this was still winnable even after how disastrous the first 2 turns were, just because we had the Dynamax advantage. Given what my opponent had in the back, like if Porygon gets a special attack boost and Dynamaxes, that actually might have been the correct, like, way to go about this. I wasn't sure if we get one-shot by Expanding Force, but there's no reason to assume we would. So what I should have done, I think, was bring out the Urshifu and just go Flamethrower Surging Strikes to KO Cinderace, and then Dynamax the Porygon in the late game. The problem with Dynamaxing Porygon, though, is that I don't get Trick Room up with it, right? And then, so, like, Vicious Rend still does a lot. You still have Glide, so I don't know if I had enough damage output, to be honest, and that is just why running a tech like Max Lightning on Cinderace can be super, super clutch. So, great lead by my opponent. Really well played on their end. I feel like we did a lot, but in a matchup like this, like, that's why even having one move can make such a difference in competitive Pokemon. If your opponent doesn't expect it and it ruins like their main strategy, it completely throws everything off balance. But definitely a fun game, and I think a really cool team from my opponent's end. And I really think that's a great tech as well for the reasons I mentioned. You know, it helps out against the bulky waters. It's just frustrating because we could have maxed the Tentacruel turn 1. We would have survived the Max Lightning. Like, it would have done, what, like 50% to the Tentacruel? And then we would have just maxed Geyser in return for a knockout. And then at that point, I think Tentacruel actually just sweeps my opponent's entire team. So maybe I should have just Geyser turn 1. But that was a fun one either way. So that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed the Tentacruel action today. And yeah, appreciate it. You can check out the creator and the rental team in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace.